Fierce. One.
That's my name. You know, that's not
Why do you have the
the
one
edge.
on it?
Because I'm the only one.
Who is Fierce?
Yeah, according to me. My opinion, my thought.
Why do you must?
You know what's funny? I didn't actually give myself that name.
Yeah, alright.
That was actually my very first Facebook username. And somehow it stuck. No one has ever asked me how I got the name, by the way.
When did you mask into your name?
I don't think I masked into the name. It was always there. It was actually given to me by a friend because when we were opening up Facebook accounts, I didn't have the time and she wanted to do it that very day. She's called Sandra. So she goes like, it's alright, I'll open up one for you and then you can change the particulars later. And then somehow, I just never changed the particulars for a minute. And then the next thing I remember, I'm actually using it as my AKA a couple of years much later. Because I was done way. It's stuck.
This was before you started doing the whole content, because your content is fierce. I was thinking it was because of.
Here's the thing with me. Yeah. My introduction to the entertainment scene, or basically content creation, was rather different. Because when I started, I was on the other side. Because now they say I'm on the offensive. So when I started, I was that girl who was doing Q&As for different celebrities, and you know how, because you're like, oh my God, hi. When you have to be like super nice to them, and you're like, oh my goodness, how are you? And I guess so your music career, like you give two flying doves. But and then now, don't laugh. And then now I'm on the exact entire opposite. Ain't it funny? It's funny.
That was your first job, that's what you're doing.
My very first job was
like on YouTube?
Not on YouTube. I don't know if they still have it. It was MTV. Because my very first time on TV, I was with MTV, and that was random. It was Rendezvous.
Yeah.
And I did that for what, 2 years, and I was super nice, super nice, man. I used to do Q&A, like when I see them do it now, I'm like, we did that 13, 15 years ago. You know, so I was on the other side, and then, yes.
Interesting. I now remember you doing that, and it's crazy.
It's weird. And I was sweet, and I would smile.
So this is entirely just business for you, that?
It's just business. It's business for me. It's
How do you transition from being now nice, because it's like a whole character, to being blunt and just.
The thing is, you don't get it. Like, I'll use the words of the Hulk. You want to know my secret? I'm always hungry. Right? I think that's the same thing with me. It's not that I morph into a different being. No. Both of them coexist peacefully, harmoniously. It just depends which one you get on that day. That's just it. If I walk in and there's a whole bunch of BS being thrown about, yeah, Fierce is going to pop out. If I walk in and the vibe is just a good vibe, then, you know, Tinah, Mami Zion, is going to pop up. She's a marshmallow.
What kind of mother are you?
I'm a funky mom, I think. I'm a practical, funky mom, but I like, practical, yes. Practical.
You are hands-on with your homeschooling the children?
I am very, very hands-on. Extremely hands-on. You know, my eldest only went to boarding school this year.
Yeah.
So he's always been home. My little ones are home all the time. I'm hands-on. We do homework together, we go to school together, I wake them up myself. Literally, I'm with my kids 24/7. So I'm a hands-on. What is it?
Okay, now let's talk about the fierce content we have seen, the random thoughts before, the random thoughts, the TV. Do you feel like, much as your content has a big impact, also, when you call out, mostly you're talking about institutions that have failed in the country, the government, and calling it out.
Yeah.
What type of Uganda are you looking at having, you as an individual?
I think I want a Uganda that works for all of us, not just me as an individual, though I told people for it to make sense to you, you have to first look at it as an individual. I want a country that gives to, that cares, you know. I want a country where I know if I get an education, I'll get a job. And when I get a job, it's going to have a minimum wage. You know, I want to know if I can go to a hospital on a bad day when I can't afford a private institution. I can go to a government hospital and still be looked after the same way. I want to know that when I have kids and I take them to school, they're going to give them an education that will enable them to do what exactly I'm doing, get a job. You know, so it's just pretty much, I want the basics. And that's what pisses me off about my people, is that we are asking for the bare minimum. We should be ashamed.
Do you think we have a scarcity mindset of not looking at just wanting too much, because we're just also still just a developing country, right?
You can't keep using that nonsense.
No, it's not
You
nonsense.
can't keep using,
objective.
objective or not, you can't keep using it. 35 years, 36 years, how many years have we been independent as a sovereign nation? Compare that to the nation. Yeah, compare that, 50 something.
Yeah.
And you know it's bad when you don't know if it's your independence or if it is NRM, because I just gave you 35. Because that's all I know. You see how bad that is? I even forget to equate my independence to independence, and I am equating it to a ruling party. That there is a shaky situation. But you can't tell me 56 or 50 whatever years, you are still going to keep referring to yourself as an upcoming tiny nation that is trying to grapple with the fact that it's a third world country. Oh, come on.
And you believe that sharing the thoughts, you are causing some impact to your perception?
By sharing my thoughts, I believe I am trying to play my civic duty. Not even trying, I am playing my civic duty. Listen, it's easy for a campusar not to give two shits about, the news and the politics and the economics and the nitty-gritty that goes into running a whole nation and why the nation is the way it is. It's easy for them to not be bothered until you have babies. And then you look at the whole situation, you're like, wait, I give birth to my kids to fall into this system. It's a system that scares you. As a parent, you want to leave your kids in a system that you know won't fail them deliberately. And by putting my voice out there, I guess I'm trying to find a level, balanced ground where my kids have a fair chance at being good at something, at being, I just basically existed.
Okay. Now, besides, of course, that impact with your content, you also probably make some people feel sad in their homes. I've had a few people that have told me that, oh no, you're in the same space with her and she said this about me and I felt this type of way. But I also know that to you it's just business. But then, do you ever feel like maybe this person, I could be the reason their mental health is not...
Mental what?
Yeah, because
listen, I know. I'm gonna say this. Listen, I'm gonna say this, and I know many of you are going to come for me. I know, because this is very unorthodox and it's not called for. But I feel like society lately is crying wolf. Too much. You'll be so sensitive. Everything is a touchy situation. But when you sit back in your house by your lonesome, do you honestly think it was that deep? It's never that deep. It's never that deep. Now, I'm not putting off, I'm not putting off mental health, because I've had my moments. You're looking at the people that I talk to, but have you asked yourself how I deal with it? How I deal with the fact that, how I deal with the fact that I have to be the one that says this truth to you. It's not easy. It's like having a friend who has it's like having a friend who has very bad breath. You love that person to death, but you don't know how to start the conversation. You're finna go like, do you want some gum? Can I get you an Altoid? But imagine I have to be the one who's like, Manic, your breath stinks. You need some gum.
So why are you so blunt? How is it so easy for you?
It's easier to live life that way. Like again I say, we're too sensitive as a people, and in that sensitivity, we have learned how to, bury our heads in the sand and play pretend that certain situations and emotions should not be brought about. They should be.
We should live every moment.
Live and let live. Because at the end of the day, if I'm not blunt enough to say what I really feel and how I really think and what my opinion is, then I'm not being true to who I am on account of you. So where's the whole tagline of live your life? Because clearly I'm not living mine if I'm holding back what I think and how I feel. And I would say that about all the sensitive topics that we bring out, the LGBTQ, mental health, all these global, hashtags.
Do you just say things or you choose to say things when you think they're necessary? Because see,
if I just say things, come on, it wouldn't even make sense. You wouldn't.
Do you just say things as they come in, or you filter your things? Is there a filter or it's honest truth? Brutal or not?
Or let me tell you something, I filter most of the time. What you get is actually filtered. If I really told you what I think,
what do you think about Uganda?
About so many things. Let's just say the words that I can't use. So how I really feel, the orator in me has to come out of my head from all the madness in there. I just say, okay, we're going to say it, but we're going to try and say it nice. So what you get is the nice version. Period. That's just how I think. Because it's a mess up there. Yeah.
You're a woman. What do you think about marriage?
Marriage, scum, but I would still not mind doing it all over again with the right one.
Who's the right one? I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Also, what do you mean, scam, man?
Marriage is a scam. I was there, close to 10 years. I think our biggest problem, why I call it a scam is one, we look at just the word marriage. We don't look at the entity of marriage.
What's the entity of marriage?
Marriage is not the dress and the ring and the being called Mrs. So-and-so. It's the battles that you have, and the battles and the hurdles that you have to go through living with another human being who is totally from a different mindset than yours, and then trying to merge all those ideologies into bringing something beautiful. Then kids come in, and now it's not just marriage, you are literally putting forth a people. So how you raise them, how your mental capacity gravitates around particular things, affects them. That's affecting an entire generation, an entire legion of people. So it's not just that I am Mrs. So-and-so to me. It's bigger than that, and I think that we've watered it down a lot. That's why I call it a scam lately. But if you find the right one who understands you and you do the same to them, who respects you, who gets a person who puts you at ease to be who you are. Because
ideally, I think that it's very easy to find the one. But then, it's easy to
my
find
sock
someone
is
who
falling
respects
out. Why is this falling out?
you, to respect you and do all that. But the time the individual of that expires, someone can disrespect you after some time, someone can fall out of love, someone can stop liking you.
Wait, you people still think marriage is love?
There must be some pressure to it to exist, I think. You don't want
in the
to
beginning it should be love, but if that's what's taking you in the situation, you got a whole lot of stuff coming in.
Again.
Why would you?
Oh, you.
Me.
Yeah.
For companionship. Nobody wants to die alone.
Yeah, you have your dogs.
Really? You went there. Y'all want to paint me like I'm this chick was just so gung-ho. Like, listen, I don't have a problem with marriage. I believe in it at times. I just don't believe in what it has been watered down to lately.
And do you think that's because of the switch of equality, now that the powers are not really balancing? And because everyone had their roles defined in the previous times, where that is where we have more chances of successful marriages. That is why we've seen more marriages be successful. Because I think people were keeping marriages longer than now. Now we have
they were
much more divorce. I do not know if it's the light that the news now focuses on that, or it's actually happening. But a lot is happening.
There are, and this is one thing I told a couple of friends of mine, there are actually marriages that are blossoming out there.
That's true.
So many of them. You only just get to hear about the ones that are failing. But have you asked yourself, why are they failing? I don't think it has anything to do with gender equality or the roles or anything. It's individualism. Everybody's out here, like I said, the sensitivity is making people look at situations. I have friends who have been in marriage and they're like, be quiet. And they walk away from it only to go on the other side and they're like, yeah, come to think of it, I think I won't be married again. It's an individual, it's individual really. You can't begin telling me we should base it on, now everybody feels like we're all equal. We shall never be equal. We need to make peace with that. I keep telling people we have weird conversations about these things. All the women are equal. All the men need this. Oh, man, it is what it is. we're never going to be able to change so many things. We could sit here and scream as women, oh, we want equality, oh, we want this. The truth be told, if we really got that equality, we're going to be running back to being women. I feel like we should stop lying to each
You
other.
as a woman, Tinah, what do you stand for? What are your values?
My values, in like to white.
And like, how you want your life to move. Like, what do you base on to go through a day?
Honesty.
Was it honesty?
Honesty, being true and authentic to yourself as a being.
Do you carry this in the business as well?
Everything.
How do you verify what you're saying in your content? Because most of your content is like news, and we all can't trust it.
Listen, my content is verified under the step that, like the way my YouTube channel is called, Random Thoughts.
So they're just thoughts.
These are my thoughts. And when you watch my content, you will see a disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah.
These are my thoughts. They're not meant to alter your thoughts, to give you an opinion, whatever. It's just me thinking out loud.
Would it be fair if I picked your thoughts to create an imagination of who I think you are, person, or is that person different from the actual
It's
person?
your prerogative.
Okay.
It's entirely your prerogative. It's entirely up to you. Listen, most people wonder why I'm not bothered by what people say about me. And I teach this to my kids every day.
Does anyone ever say anything about you? I feel like
Yeah, they do.
They don't read anything about
They
you.
do. People do. Let me tell you, my thing is, if you, Mark, have an opinion about who I am as a person, as a human being, as a content creator, as anything, guess what? I can't be offended by your opinion. Because at the end of the day, it's your opinion.
Because this is what
It's
you also do.
entirely
This is,
yours.
you give your opinion about matters,
Yes,
yeah?
and you decide how you want to use that opinion, but don't be a slave to it. I'm allowed to walk into a room and say, I don't want to eat fish.
Yeah. Do you ever get offended about anything in life?
No. It's hard to offend me.
So you don't have emotions?
I do have emotions, but I made peace with understanding that human beings are allowed to have thought process. Human beings are allowed to have opinions. Whether you want to have a rebuttal with them, that's up to you, but they are entitled to that. So if you walk in here and you're like, oh my goodness, Tinah, you've gained so much weight, I'll be like, that's your opinion. Do I feel I've gained so much weight? It could be yes, it could be no. It don't matter. Because I haven't voiced mine. You voiced yours. And it's yours. I can't take it away from you.
Would you feel bad if I call you fat?
No. I wouldn't.
Sure.
I wouldn't because
Randomly, forget
scientific...
about that now. You know me, I'm a so.
Seriously speaking.
Like we were walking and some guy.
Child.
Look at that fat mama.
Scientifically speaking, I am fat. How is that supposed to offend me?
Not thick.
It don't matter whether you call it thick or fat. I am fat. Why would I be offended by a truth, a fact, or an opinion? Like again, I say, it's your truth, it's your opinion, it's your fact. You're entitled to it.
Just like you're entitled to your.
Just like I'm entitled to mine. So that's why for me, I can come for somebody. And if they come back for me, if I feel like I want to be offended by it, I'm not going to really be offended. I'm going to give my opinion
about what?
about what you say. And then most of y'all go like, oh my goodness, she's just being so defensive. No, I let you have your opinion. And now I'm responding to your opinion in regards to my opinion towards your opinion.
No, okay. As someone whose opinion now carries, because your opinion is not just any ordinary opinion, yeah? Your opinion comes with impact. There's a lot of people listening to you. You have a lot of people that probably think that what you're telling them is the absolute truth, or they
They
should.
don't probably think
Yeah.
they are entitled to that thought.
Yeah, but because of how much power you've acquired, yeah. So you have.
Power.
It is actual power because look at numbers. A little bit more than TV now. You have people that are willing to just listen to you and just go with that and just take whatever you told them as truth. So you can actually start a terrorist group if you wanted to,
No.
if you're that bad. You
Lord,
wanted to, because
can I tell you
have-
something about that type of influence?
Yeah.
For me, I wouldn't say it's power. I wouldn't say it's influence. That's why I don't call them fans. I call them a family, because these are just people who resonate with my thoughts. Like, they've been having the same thoughts. It's like you walking into a room and there's just a guy who wants to eat bread like you. And then all of you queue up and you're like, we are the bread center.
Do you think most of your thoughts are angry thoughts?
Angry?
Yeah.
Ugandans need to understand that being opinionated doesn't necessarily mean you're angry. When I'm angry in my thoughts, I'll let you all know I'm angry. I don't hold back. I'll come on my YouTube and I'll be like, yo, I'm mad as hell. I will say it. Me having an opinion doesn't necessarily mean it's an angry opinion. It's an observation. It is an opinion, and that's how I see it.
Now we've had cases of you having battles with I want to call them celebrities, but I don't know.
Battles.
Well, I'll call them battles. We've
Those
had
are
a celebrity
squabbles.
strike down your YouTube. That's a battle.
Those are
We've had
squabbles.
Another one claimed they took you off TV.
Lol. I like them. Okay.
Yeah. So this approach to things, do you think it's a better one? Do you ever feel you're secure enough? Don't you think these people could get extra angry and attack the person you are? Or do you
Why
just feel
haven't
like
they tried?
you're good at threats in your life?
Why haven't they? You ask yourself.
I don't know. Well, where do you think I've not?
Psychologically speaking, when I come for you and I say something about you, if it's not the truth, you are not bothered. Very bothered. If I came here and I said, "Oh, yeah, over here,"
Yeah, no, that's your opinion.
it's my opinion, right?
But it will affect me. We've seen always
It affects you how?
arrest. Maybe my reputation. Someone there the 20,000 people that listen to you will probably think and then
That
I'll
is what
feel
they-
insecure
that
about
is what
when
they
I walk
believe.
into them.
That is what they chose to believe.
I was
It's
listening
free
to
will.
Chameleon on Tasker Conversation.
It's
thing,
free will.
And they were asking him about Nyanja and all these things that are really relevant. But one thing I picked from his energy when he was answering was like, you, the media, have put this out there, and it has affected who I am. It has affected my parenting. No, because they say this. So this is and something to apply.
Listen. Ekintu woba wakikola
Chameleon again on Nyanja.
teyagenda mu nyanja waki teyavaayo vehemently from the jump?
Because tekigasa era bwegamba
teyakiwaaki mazzi. Instead of him okukiwa amazzi n'akittira awo, he let it play out. You want to come for the media and say that we do these things, but you actually let us play these scenarios out because they bloody help you. They help your numbers grow. They help you stay relevant. Do not buy into the thought that an artist is not going to come and clarify on something. Do not buy into that. If it is something that damages their brand, their product, or anything, they will come out and put a stop to it.
Maybe
but these people, no, these people play into these scenarios. Relevance. Ever ask yourself why Scoop on Scoop was on air for 7 years? If you kept saying it was so bad,
it was
they needed it.
People love
Listen, they need it. They need it. It's a two-way. It's a two-way. If you come out and say something about me that I know is not right and does not sit right with me, I'm going to stand up for me. Whether I have money or not, clarifying, take a side. But you see these artists, things come out, they just pepper them on top and they're like, you ask, back in the day when Chameleon was asked about that stuff, do you know how he used to shrug it off? Like, everyone in Uganda, we have that too. You have not clarified. You can neither confirm or deny these allegations. So
you just want it to be in a space. So
it's in that gray area. So guess what? That gray area has different variables. It has the people who are going to believe in it. It has the people who are going to be like, it's no big deal. And it has the people who are like, well, you never know. That's it. That's just how it goes. I hate how people play this whole card of like media. No, you never into movie caller. You do these things. So at the end of the day, we need to find a space where we can coexist and let all our opinions sit pretty.
Yeah, I've
so
actually looked at it through this perspective.
It is. They do it. I mean, when I was working on TV, someone would call you blatantly. What's up? How are you? Usually for me, they would reach out to my producer. And they're like, Twina kanoka story. They're like, yes, but you see, we have a new song that's coming out next time, so we need the, So that's why you see celebrities, especially now that Ugandans, it used to happen well abroad, back in the day when there were the hip hop beats.
Now, for someone who treats honesty as something you really pride yourself in, yeah? Don't you feel like this is manipulation and you're playing a big part?
How am I
Because you are one of the biggest people to actually treat stories.
Exactly, and listen, I'm not manipulating you. My show, its synopsis was clear. I critique what you have done. Keyword here, what you have done.
True.
I'm not just going to come out of nowhere and just say some shit about you.
Yeah.
I wait for something you have done and I give my opinion and critique based upon what you have done. Now, whether it's biased, honest, truthful or not, it really don't matter at that point. What matters in that moment is that you had to give me something first. I had to work with something in order for me to drive it into a particular, street. So these artists, these celebrities, these socialites, they like to create these scenarios.
Yeah.
They live off of them. They adore them. They don't mind the fact that they will read something about it and go like, oh, they're talking about me. Because at the end of the day, like you said, it's a numbers game. And everybody wants the eyeballs. So there's that famous saying in the media, good news or bad news is always good publicity.
There's no bad publicity.
There's no bad publicity, ever.
Do you think that's a good thing? That people have to do bad things just...
That's up to them. What I think about it don't even matter.
Also, you have been on TV and probably radio. Have you been on radio?
Yeah, I was on radio.
What radio?
I was on Hot 100, I did a stint at Capital FM.
What are you doing on Hot 100? I used to be a fan.
Oh, wow, I first did the morning show with Kahuna.
I heard your voice and
I did with Kahuna, and then I used to do the mid-morning show and I had a Saturday show. Yeah, I've done my time in this industry. I definitely have.
What do you think about the future of content creation now? Broad perspective of content creation.
I'm excited. I'm
excited. Media, TV, do you think people are really switching away from it? Because radio again is a whole lie, yeah? I just recently found out from...
it's a whole lie?
Yeah, that's even the stories they make up. I told Osmani Arad, like, none of that shit is real, it's just something.
I think my favorite thing about radio is
it's so scary because some people are so attached to some of this bullshit.
But guess what? Listen, every scenario that is around you is something people have made up. In this life, I need for you to live your life knowing that for every situation you see, there's manipulation behind it. If it's on the mainstream and we're all getting access to it, or there's some manipulation somewhere. At some point, it's there. I remember back in the mornings when we would want those morning letters on radio.
Yeah, the morning letters, yes.
My girlfriend did this, Ash, it would come after Morina Balua. And you and Casey done it, like, so what scenario we're playing out now? I'm like, ooh, I watched this in the series, let's write this down. Then we fast forward, then you guys call in and you give your opinions and we're like, okay. Man, everything is staged. And that's why for me, I refuse to be scripted.
Yeah.
I refuse to be given a narrative. I refuse to...
This is why you eventually have to leave, because
yes,
at some point you have to get scripted, because TV is scripted. I mean,
here's the thing. Not really. When I agreed to do school, it's because it fit my character so perfectly.
Sure.
It wasn't even character per se. It was who I am. I ain't afraid to tell somebody when they done messed up. It's just who I am. right? So it was easy for me to, sink in. But my thing with TV and radio now is that it's not just scripted, it's to the highest bidder, which stifles your genuine creativity. Because if somebody tells you this is the only path you can take and you always stay on that path, I feel like that's stifling for me. As a creator, I want to run free, and I don't consider myself a creator like all of you.
Yeah.
I consider my mind to be the creative space and my mouth is where I let out whatever is in my creative space. I sit in my head. That's where I create. That's where most people be like, "Sandy content creator," but I do this. No, me. I just sit there and think about situations. That's my content. And I use my mouth as the stage to say that. So when you look at TV and radio, when they begin to tell you, you can't say that. Oh no, you can't say that. But I'm like, there's somebody out there who wants to hear that. And why do you keep lying to these people? I don't want to be responsible of a narrative that hoodwinked an entire people into some submission or some issue in this thing called life. Nah, it's like a curtain. We all come in, we all play our part, we bow and leave. So I decided, I'll do it my own way, my terms. Space where I can say what I want to say.
Do you think that there can be someone else to do what you're doing?
Sorry?
Do you think that there can be someone else to do exactly what you're doing?
Probably. They've been there before me. They'll be there after me. There's some in the moment as we speak.
Like who
I wouldn't know, but I believe there's somebody out there.
Did you have competition? Did you have competition on TV?
My competition has always been myself. My biggest critique is myself. I can't pit myself against anybody because it will be like judging a fish on its ability to climb a tree.
You have children who are now about 10 years.
Yeah.
Do they ever feel like money can be taken up in a room anytime? Do they have that? Have you had that conversation?
We've had those conversations with my kid, not kids, because I can't begin telling my 7-year-old the whole shebang, but she understands politics. She does. She's actually smart. During the elections, I wanted them to understand what exactly was going on. So I broke it down for them, and they actually didn't sleep election night. They waited for the whole count, and they weren't even with me. But they kept calling. They're like, ooh, this is happening. And it felt good because I think it's good for us to teach our children about the politics of their country at a tender age. Maybe they'll give a hoot more than we did. Because for us, we give a hoot now because it's affecting us. Like, oh my goodness, the one minute more. Then we're like, politics. But imagine if our parents had taught us from the grassroots about what governance really is. Political literacy is something we need to teach our kids from a tender age, just like financial literacy. There's so many things we need to teach our children. As parents, we like to just shelter them. No.
So for you, you're raising your children in this form?
Yes, I'm raising them where I feel like they have to be involved. I'm raising them in a way where I want them to know that they are responsible for the type of nation that they're living in. Their contribution is big.
How big do you imagine a child's contribution in a country that's militarized?
The child is the populace. You are the populace. You were once the child. That's how big.
So how do you want them to be involved? To one day stand for elected positions?
If that's what they want, I wouldn't go against it.
Do you want to stand for elected position as a man? Because of one, you've gained the influence.
Never. I'm never going to join active politics.
Why?
I've said this.
If you want impact, they all know you're going to get impact.
I believe. What are you saying, impact? The fact that I have numbers that follow me and the numbers.
Yeah, you actually really go and
No, that means that's my impact. Like I say, it's civic duty. Politics is a dirty game.
Okay.
For a person who wants to stay as clean as I can and as honest as they can be, especially in the governance of a nation because I know what it means when we are all not honest. I wouldn't want to be a part of a system that is going to, without even knowing, change me. So I would rather stand on the sidelines and say, hey, that one is going to the left, pull them back. No, somebody needs to keep telling these people where they're going wrong. Doesn't mean that I have to be in active politics, but if my children got up one day and they say they wanted to join active politics, I'll be the proudest mother ever.
What's your price? If I want to turn you against this government.
I do not have a price.
Everyone has a price.
I don't.
And we have seen it in the past where the government gets people like you that are
If I had a price, don't you think I would have been paid up by now?
Have you gotten this price? Yes or no?
You know yes.
I want you to tell me.
Yes, I have.
And you have religiously turned them away.
Yes. Let me tell you something. You keep saying, I want my freedom, your freedom ain't free, but you decide. You decide whether you want to give your freedom a price. I want to be able to criticize something wrong without saying, shit, they fucking paid me for that. I can't say that. Then I lose the concept of who I truly am as a being.
And this serves you a lot. You and your personal self, you're comfortable, you're able to.
Y'all keep saying things about mental health, but my mental health lies in the fact that I can't say the truth. Unapologetically. That's where mine lies.
Are you single, huh?
Yes, I'm proud. Hip hip hooray.
Oh, yes.
Why am I a single mom? I had a deadbeat baby father after another. I ain't ashamed of that. It didn't work out. I'm proud I had these babies. Keep it moving. I can't be mad because these are decisions that I equally make.
So your children are not going to have a father figure in their life?
They will have a father figure when it's the right time and if the right one does it for themselves. But that don't mean I can't be a father figure to them. I have raised my kids openly where I'll have my male friends involved. I'm like, hey yo, y'all need to come and talk to the boys about this, right? And my friends have been the most supportive. I can't say my kids don't have father figures. They have had a truckload of them. You know, they'll have people who they can talk about to video games. They have people they can talk about girlfriends and crushes and all of that. But here's the most interesting part. Me and my kids are different. We talk about everything. Everything. We could be in dinner and the sex talk will break out and nobody will feel offended. Of course, my teenager is now starting to get a certain type of way about certain conversations, but from when he was, I think, about 6, 7, I mildly eased him into it. And then my 9-year-old, we're easing into it.
How is it like to be a single mother? Is it hard, like all the stories we read about people who write about single moms?
Apart from the financial aspect of it, it's actually, if you really, really love, not if you really love, because every mother loves their child. It's actually a bomb thing to do. It's okay.
How did you have the energy raising children yourself and then having to do the business? What keeps you going? What brings
them? My kids are the only thing that keeps me going. Without them, there is no continuation. It's period. End. Stop. No conversation. It's them. And yo, listen. Most people want to paint the picture of being a single mother means your heart, you're broken, you're damaged, or you're angry. I am the least angry person because, let's face it, it takes two to tango, right? You had them babies with somebody. If he has bailed out, your obligation is to step up because
like
you want.
You know, if you want chicken.
Yeah, your obligation is to step up. You have no option but to step up because you brought these kids onto this earth and you finna do right by them. So I wouldn't ever be mad at that. Do I want their fathers to be involved in their lives? Hell yeah. Everybody wants that. But if it's not on the table, you can't be mad.
Anything about China?
What's wrong with China?
That's what
as a superpower, you want to try and make me look stupid, don't you?
No.
And we all know I ain't
Wait,
stupid.
but you always saying about a lot of stuff. Like, okay, what's
We
important?
both know I know so much. I just don't want to take it there. What do you mean what I think about China? Ain't nothing to think about China. My issues, and this is what this is where I'm going to sound real blonde, but you'll have to take it. Even the smart ones have blonde moments. My issue with Africa is we take the time out to decipher the problems of the West and the
Let's
East.
talk about Africa.
You know,
let's talk about Africa. But no, China is influencing us. They're taking us all around.
They do. But listen, if we're going to talk about China, can we please talk about China in regards to us?
Yeah, exactly. The same conversation I wanted to talk about the Russia, Ukraine, or affecting our food.
If it's affecting us, then okay, directly affecting.
And can you use your influence sometimes to divert away from the normal things that happen around here, and then really paint the picture on big things?
On a big scale?
The big scale.
Don't stress these Africans. They're just thinking about where their next meal is going to come from, if they'll be able to pay the rent, if their kids will go to a decent school, and if they'll have a meal tomorrow, and most importantly, when I die, can they afford my funeral? Let's just play.
Have you planned for a funeral?
I want to be cremated.
Do you fear death?
Everybody fears death, but I'm starting to make peace with it. I'm starting to make peace with it. I suffer from medical anxiety. So you should know how that is for a person going through. My medical anxiety popped up when I had my very first child. I never knew I even had it. I used to just get this panic attacks. I'll just conceive something in my mind. I'm like, oh my goodness, he's not breathing right. And I'll freak out, you know? So imagine a person with medical anxiety going through a pandemic for 2 years. Those are things nobody asks you.
During the pandemic, right? Or before that?
Yeah. At the beginning of the pandemic. It was at the height of the pandemic. And there was
how is that for you? But this was also
it was bomb.
This was a rise of the random thoughts.
Yeah, this was a rise of me independently celebrating who I am as a person. You know, best time of my life, I think.
7 years on TV or more, and you still. What do you think is that contribution TV has given you, or my dad, to your life? Or was it also like, do you ever feel like...
apart from...
The connections and networks?
Apart from the big family that it gave me, I wouldn't say much. It fed the kids, educated the kids, while it did. Put food on the table, that's all it did for me, like any other person's job.
Yeah.
The only extraordinary thing I got from it is that it gave me a huge ass family.
And that's it, you can now carry on.
And that family stayed loyal, true and loyal. I left with it. That's why I can't call them fans, because if they were fans, I would just start garnering them. After I left TV, it would be like a slow rise again, but they moved.
What is it like to have all those eyeballs on you when you move through the road?
It's pretty normal.
Is it normal?
It's actually funny. I'll be walking around thinking, oh, these people all hate me. And then you're at the restaurant just trying to get something to eat, and someone goes like, yo, I love your work. What do you do? I'm like, hi. It's kind of awkward, because naturally I am awkward socially. I don't know how to deal with people.
Have you suffered harassment at work as a female? Because you don't know your fears enough.
I'm not laughing because it's not possible.
It just can't happen to you.
It can't happen to anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
But
how did you survive?
I'm going to speak for I've always been this outspoken. If I don't like something, I'm not the type who's going to cry wolf and run to HR and do. No, I'm dealing with it right there and then. Like, that's just how it is. I don't like it, I don't like it. Then if you bring it back again when I said I don't like it, then we're going to escalate. We're going to escalate, definitely. But I do know it happens to different people. That's why I keep telling people, learn how to speak up for yourself. The brutal bit of you on the inside, you don't have it. Learn how to use it. It helps. Especially to my female gender.
Yeah.
The only reason they look at you at times is helpless. You know, powerless because you haven't yet voiced out the simple fact that you are not. Like, yeah, you may look like that, but hey, guess what? I'm not. Be bold enough to own up to who you are.
What are your favorite scenes on the political and celebrity scene in Uganda? So we can take it back from like 2001.
My favorite?
Yeah, you just
I would
remember like,
never remember them. You know why? Because I go through so many of them in a day. I would shoot.
What's the experience?
I would shoot scoop at 10 a.m. in the morning, and I swear at midday. If you ask me one story I run, I'd be like, huh? There's too many. There's too many of them. I think.
How did you detach away from the emotions, from everything, and just make it just business and just come and say it, go out from it like I live?
How do I detach it? Like again, I say, for me, my opinion is my opinion. And, like
You just treat it as that.
And treat it as that. It's my opinion.
Because everyone else has their own.
Because everybody's entitled to one. I'm not going to put so much into it. Because I feel like my mental space, like I said earlier on, is clear and a perfect zen when I say what is on my mind. When I say it, I'm good. I don't say it, I catch myself playing like you will boost. And I'm having those conversations between me, myself, and I. And then the mental space is now divided, like, what's going on? Yeah, so.
Interesting. Let's go into like what is usually the closing thing. What legacy are you trying to leave behind if you die today? Good.
If I die today,
Yeah.
I want to leave a legacy behind of the people that were not afraid to ask for what they wanted and what they needed.
Say that again?
Unapologetically.
You want to leave a legacy of people?
A people that were able to say what they wanted, when they needed it, and how they wanted it, unapologetically. Because at the end of the day, 6 feet under we all go, right? So, be authentically who you are. Like what you like.
You think God believes in you?
God, that He definitely does. Ninja made me. They all keep saying, Mukama Jakut, but these I used to remember Ambonians people be like, Mukama Jakut. I'm like, Mukama, that's all I'm going to do.
Do you believe in God?
Even a higher being. Can't say I'm atheist, but I don't believe in religion. Because I took the time out.
What line are you living as a parent? Are you letting them find out this
They
thing for
are an
themselves?
open book. That's not my place for them to be.
What informs your perspective on life? Is it, do you read?
I read, I watch, I have a weird knack for finding interest in the most weird things. So yeah, I have a constant urge for knowledge. Never talk about it. That's just what I am. Curiosity.
What was the teacher like a day?
I don't know. Don't ask me about my dating life. That shit sucks.
They asked Chameleon about that shit. They also asked Chameleon about what else pissed me off?
But it's okay.
You asked him about falling off the flat. Why are you asking him about that stuff? Like, I think it's clear. Like, there's so much, and he was right, you know, there's so much Chameleon has achieved. To be Chameleon is not so easy.
Yeah.
So why did you ask him about that?
Listen, I think because we have what they call it here, like journalism or whatever, but me and Bush call it lazy journalism, especially in my country. Nobody in the media fraternity wants to take the time out to question the right questions, or to question particular things in the right way, or to find intrigue in what we are not asking. Because you will know how a Ugandan interview goes from the first question to the last question for every celebrity.
To the part where I feel like I should must take you around the country. Because that's how all the interviews end. Yeah.
How?
Somehow.
What are they doing around the country? I wouldn't know, fam. I wouldn't know. Me, bimbos, airheads, we don't, I find them overbearing. But you see, the listen.
Socialite as a bimbo.
Listen.
Do you ever question how they get where they get there?
Because I know. Listen.
And how do socialites? That's a big one.
That is something that I'm not going to talk about, because if I were to tell you how these people out here do it, you'll be saying, T, you are sour grapey.
All right.
Because every time I have said these things out loud, people come like, oh, that's bullying. Or you're just being a hater.
Do you feel like you're bullying? Because the bullying
I'm not a bully. You just have to work on your sensitivity.
In school, this is how bullying worked in school. Yeah? I would interview one. Let's say P2 guy would tease me about my shoes. And this is what you do. You tease people about their shoes.
We don't.
And if they put on bad shoes at a stage.
This is what I told my kids about bullies. Say you walk into class, same scenario, and my kids are now comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, your shoes are bad. I told my kids to ask themselves, do you think your shoes are bad? No. Do you like your shoes? Yes. Chimamazi, keep it moving. So my kids can never really be bullied. Because whatever you come up to them, they're going to be like, look here, I, individually, know my shoes are bald. But your opinion, you are entitled to it. I've taught my kids how to accept people's opinions. That's what you think, go with it, run away with it. Hey, you're ugly, you're like, oh, well, it is what it is. You think I'm ugly, run with that. It helps you sleep better at night. Good. It's your opinion. You're entitled to it. It has no way. It's just like people will go in and they're like, ooh, you call a girl loose. That's your opinion.
All right, Tinah, last question and you go off the podcast. Tell me about your relationship with Bush Baby, business relationship. Tell me. It regards content creation and you coming up as the brand, because he was managing you. He's like,
Well, the thing with me, I met Bush 6 or 7 years ago. I just walked into his office and I actually met him after I had got the job. Like he said the story last time. He was like, his producers were looking for someone to fill in for Mary. I came in and did a screen test. The producers were like, we like her. Hugo put her on air. I'd never met him even. They put me on air before I met the boss. And I was on air for I think a week. But after the week, I meet him like, what up? But then, again, my kids are Jopadola, he's Jopadola, and their father used to live in Entebbe for a while, so he knew Bush's wife, and they shared a mutual friend. So I remember the very first time I met him again in the talk, he says, hi. Literally, I know that a couple of years into this, he would be my boss. And then I joined Univision and we keep that. We keep that. And till when I left, he tried to fight all my battles for me legally because he understood what type of person I was and the content that I was putting up. Yeah, and even when I left, there was never bad blood between the two of us, regardless of him being my boss. We still kicked it. I actually would say we got better.
When you left. When there are no more battles covered up.
Exactly. When we could just, beat our heads like creatives and like, hey, there's this, you want to get this, or there's this, you want to get that. And most rewarding relationship, if you ask me, his mind is a treasure trove. When it comes to content creation, he is limitless. And he is the type of person you want to be around, especially if you are in the creative arts. Because he bounced back, all the time. You get one thing and you're like, okay, this is the concept, and he'll get 6 other concepts out of it. That's genius.
Yeah.
And it's hard to meet people like that.
Okay. I thought it was the last question.
Lord.
Do you feel the Vision Group misses you? Do you think your impact is missed? When you are
I don't want to assume importance. That's just wrong. But again, my opinion. I remember there was a time someone sends me tiny, it was like a screenshot, one of those surveys that they do to find out where the TV is headed.
Yeah.
The biggest person that the big numbers were asking for won't happen with me.
Like,
It is kind of beautiful to feel like they still want you on air. When you go on Twitter or you go on any of these platforms and you keep receiving messages like, damn, we miss you on TV. Like, because you know on TV it was regular. It was like catch a date with Tinah every night to the Unapologetic, you know? Yeah, so do I feel like my impact is missed? Hell yeah, I will not downplay myself. I will not. I will blow my trumpet a little bit. I did good when it comes to entertainment. I don't know about the people who I was talking about. That's on them, but when it comes to entertaining the masses and educating the masses and being honest with what I see out here and waking them up, I played my position.
No, okay. That's satisfied. This is, I promise you, is the last question. One of my friends is an artist. She's a female artist.
Yeah.
She's just come up. She also listens to this podcast.
Okay.
I told her I'm having a podcast today, and she's going to watch the podcast.
Uh-huh.
Her name is First Diana. Say something to her.
What should I say?
Anything. What would you say to First Diana?
I don't have anything to say about her.
She's a celebrity.
Not in my world, like I said.
You contradict her.
Listen, in my world,
okay, like she's not my friend.
listen, in my world, I decide who's celebrity and who's not. If I deliberately get up here and I tell myself...
As a singer. Okay, she doesn't sing. Let's
I
cut
don't
that. As someone who is on stage.
What status? Because in my world, she's non-existent. Like, I can say you're not here, and I'll believe you.